Hello, my name is Steve Purdy. I'm a resident of Groton. I live up in the northeast corner in the area that we call Old Mystic. And I'm also a member of the Mystic Oral School Advocates Organization, a grassroots group that's concerned about the possibility of a major mega development up on the Oral School property, a very small piece of property on which it's been proposed that there should be 900 apartments, which would be occupied by 1,200 people who would own 1,300 to 1,400 vehicles. It's an extremely expensive project, and it's highly risky. And we're concerned that the public be aware of this in a very tangible way. This is the second presentation that I've done. We did one about a month ago where we talked about the project itself and the logistics, the traffic issues, and some of the financial facts. We thought it was important to come back to you, the public, and talk about in a little more detail about the actual financial issues that are involved. This is the sign that you probably have seen around if you've been in our part of the town, although it's popping up in other places as well. And what we're interested in here is having a reasonably sized development. This sign does not mean that we're against developing. It means that we believe that what has been proposed is unreasonably large and overbearing given the size of our community. This is a picture of the Oral School property in 1952 when it was prospering as a state-operated organization. If you go back to our previous presentation, there's a lot of material there on the history of the Oral School, and that's also easily obtainable on the internet. What has been proposed here by the person who is now our preferred developer, Jeffrey Respler, LLC, is that this property be redeveloped, possibly including all of these buildings, maybe including some of these buildings, maybe including none of these buildings, into a multi-use development that would include 931 apartments, possibly a 50-room hotel, a number of other commercial enterprises, and parking garages that would be required to house the 1,200 to 1,300 cars that would belong to the 1,200 occupants of those apartments. This is just to give you an idea of where the property is located, in case you're not aware of it. It's between Essex 89 and 90, obviously most accessible from 89. The unique thing about it is that it is basically a plateau that is located 160 feet above sea level. So there are very precipitous approaches to this, and the only approaches that are there now are by windy, hilly, rural roads. And all of the access to this property, even under the proposal, will be from this property down through that country road or a new road that the developer is proposing to Cow Hill Road. So all of the traffic will go to Cow Hill Road, which is a rural road in itself. So our position is, that is us of MOSA, we encourage responsible development. We just don't want to compromise the social and financial future of the entire community chasing real estate tax money. So this is everything in Groton, river to river. People will tend to say, well, this is NIMBY. We're more concerned about what is happening in our backyard. But the fact is that our concerns are much broader. The density of traffic, the social problems, the density of the population is certainly of concern to us. But most prominently, there are potential financial issues that will affect all of the town. In order to do this properly, we need a community plan, and we need a town government that is capable of executing to that plan. Maybe this site can be responsibly developed. For us, that means it would have to fit the established zoning standards, which is RU 80. It would have to have reasonable financial objectives and commitments, and a complete audited understanding of how this is going to work economically for the next 30 years. Under some of the tax abatement programs that are available now, for someone to develop this, it could easily be a 30-year payback. These are all items that should have been done before we ever selected a development that were not. The reason we say now that they should be done is that we're hoping that there will be a new developer selection and that we will proceed according to normal procedures with a properly documented selection. This is going to require a lot of cooperation among the town, the state, and us, the public. The flaws in the process to date really revolve to a great extent around secrecy. There's been little to no involvement of the public. That's us, the voters and taxpayers, on who the project will have the greatest long-term impact. The town council has been proceeding with too many executive sessions. There are certain rules about what executive sessions can cover, but as far as we can tell, all of this has been done either in executive session, which is closed to the public, and apparently the documentation of those not available to us, or in the back room. So far, as we have gotten interested in this, we've had negative responses to any public request for what is really public information, and therefore the town council and our hired professional officials apparently have no accountability. The town attorneys have even advised that our town officials who work for us or are elected by us are not allowed to discuss this project with us at this very crucial point. That's absolutely unreasonable. Secondly, this is a situation of inconsistent planning. The proposed project conflicts with the approved plan for the future development of Groton as a whole. There's been poor execution. There were unclear objectives and requirements in the request for proposals, no formal method of evaluation, and it was a rushed and inadequately detailed comparative evaluation of the proposals and their community impact, especially the financial and logistical impact. There's been inadequate shared documentation of the process, most likely because there's no documentation there. But everything that we've wanted to have in evaluating this situation, have had to go to freedom of information requests to get the data. And in some cases, people have actually been turned away by town employees when they were asking for direct access to what is really public data. There also was a lack of due diligence in qualifying the proposers. And then our officials committed to a developer and a project without any kind of proper public review and input. We now have a developer who is our selected or approved developer who is not following up on his deadlines. He's missed a number of those. The state has put him on leave on notice that he has to give them a progress report every 90 days. And finally, our town council has requested that he meet the deadlines, but they've also given him a 30-day extension, which is a third of the 90-degree requirement that he was supposed to have met already. Town management, it looks to us like the town manager professional staff concept is not working very well for the town of Groton. This debacle has removed the voters and the taxpayers from directly commenting on and influencing major decisions that affect our fate. We've been presented with a risky fait accompli that's been conceived and executed by our so-called professionals, who we pay, and rubber stamped by our elected representatives. And they have now been directed by our legal counsel, who we also pay, not to respond to us. We're at a crossroads. Our town officials, elected and hired, have made potentially life-changing commitments on behalf of our community without our being fully aware of it. We and they must step back, analyze the situation, come to a better conclusion, and get moving in a different direction. That may require some political and professional backtracking, even some litigation, but the cost of litigation will be palatable if it comes to a better long-term conclusion for the total community. Well, if you're interested in this topic, you can get in touch with us via our website, www.mysticoralschooladvocates.org. Be sure that you are clearly aware of what's going on and participate in local primaries and elections. Decide what you think we should be doing about a town council, an elected town council, and the paid people that they have chosen to operate the community for us, and whether you think that is consistent with what is healthy for the community.